Welcome to Community Roundtable. I'm Ferdinand, the bringer of balance, leader of many disciplines, and one of your hosts of Community Roundtable. I'm here with the infamous, the amazing Uganda.
Hello, thank you so much. I'm so excited about this. Thank you. I'm Uganda Sample Jones, the owner of Empower All, lover of Newport News, lover of people and upliftment and empowerment. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I really appreciate it. So today we're really diving into empowering with group economics, and we brought one of the most amazing lenders on the East Coast to the
Yes.
stage. Let's
Let's,
welcome Mr. Tiante.
yes.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
Doing
Hey.
well.
Hey,
Thank
so
you
we're
for
gonna be we're
being
gonna be
here.
talking a little bit about empowering with group economics today, my brother. Let's dive in a little bit. Help us understand what you do and how you help the community.
All right, cool. Well, first of all, I'm grateful to be here. Glad you guys had me and thought about me. I'm a mortgage loan officer under the broker channel for Core Mortgage. Now, one of the things I do is educate buyers the possibility of buying a home. And a lot of times we don't understand in our community that's something that is far fetched or we can't do it and it's too hard. And I enjoy breaking down the process. I really show people different ways they can purchase a home, why they need to purchase a property, even if they're going to live in it or not live in it, the benefits and the creation of generational wealth.
That's all right. That's my brother. I'm so excited that he's here because I met Tiante about 2.5 years ago. And he was
Yeah.
on the grind teaching people about home ownership. And I was like, yo, this is somebody that I have to bring on to the Choice Neighborhood Initiative. And ever since he's been on there, we have had so many people ask questions. He's like really made it in layman terms so we can understand the process of home ownership, and he's not scared to come into the community. Every event he's running around with his energy, and I just love it. I'm so grateful that you came to this project because you really bring home ownership to the people who really thought that it wasn't possible.
Yes, and I mean, speaking of the project you bought me on, I've learned so much about the ins and out of housing on a commercial level as well. And it gives the benefit to actually hear from the governmental side of things, but also hear what the people are saying, why or they feel like they can't own, they don't understand the benefits of having a home, the wealth benefits that comes with it. So all those things have been interesting to grow and learn throughout this process.
You know,
Absolutely.
I wonder, how does what you do impact group economics?
Mm.
Well, I mean, the first thing is I tell people all the time is we if we don't own anything, we can't make the decisions.
That's right.
So as a community, just talk about our community. Our community is probably on the bottom of the wealth totem pole, and that's because of ownership. We don't own the property, we don't own the land, we don't own the building. Other communities use that ownership to grow their group, to become higher earners, to make more decisions. And this is the foundation of it. This is probably the first door to generational wealth and community building. As a community, we always scream gentrification, but we don't say that we own this, so they can't just push us out.
Exactly. I love that you brought that up because at the beginning of this project, people, and that mind you, it was like 5 or 6 years ago, people were talking about, oh, they just gonna come in and do what they want to do. But through this process, we have really learned that we have a voice, and gentrification isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as simultaneously the people are being empowered and educated throughout the process so that we can bring our incomes up, so that we can afford the houses that are coming downtown Newport News. I can't believe it's $500,000 houses that are being sold in Newport News right now, downtown in the East End. Can you talk a little bit about that, Tiante?
Yeah, so I mean, we have to look at it from a standpoint of this is prime real estate. It's been prime real estate. It's just they had to change the dynamics of the community that was there. We all talk about the East End. It used to be have a bad rep. We're doing everything we can to change that rep. But if you just close your eyes and imagine the East End, not what you grew up thinking it was, but look at beautiful houses, look at shopping malls, look at a seafood market, and then you'll see, okay, this is prime real estate. If you clean up the beach, make the beach a place that people can go to, have fun. Then you're looking at waterfront property like anywhere else in America. You're going to have boats coming in. You create a dock for boats to come in, and you could have half a $1 million houses like it once were way back in the days. But it probably wasn't $1 million back in them days, but they were very high end homes.
Exactly. Newport News, well, downtown, Newport News doesn't even start without downtown in the East End. One thing when talking with our elders, they're always talking about how people were educated at Huntington High School and they were getting a college level education because the Black teachers weren't able to get jobs in the colleges. So that is amazing that we're able to really bring the East End back to its glory, back to what it used to be for Black people, which was pretty much a mecca. It was different because Black people had jobs, whereas on other places in the United States, Black people in the 1950s, 40s, and 50s were still looking for jobs, but we had a shipyard. So we had people that
Yes.
were skilled laborers and they were able to buy their homes. And that's why in the East End, we have so many people who are homeowners and grandparents that own their homes and have passed it down. And one thing through this project, we have begged people, do not sell your grandma's house. Make sure you hold on to that house and build the equity, the generational wealth through equity that we know can happen. So I saw you bring up Tiante's flyer. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So one of the things is we have seen that the biggest challenge that most people say is they don't have the funds for the down payment. You brought up the shipyard. Myself, I used to work at Verizon, and for many years we had so much money that we were making, but we never thought about home ownership. You
Mhm.
know, and nobody was. People were saying buy homes, but they really wasn't teaching you how to do it or what you had in your hand that you can do it with. So this is just another tool that allows you to purchase a home with zero down. Now, what I teach all my clients is first I see what they have, what 401k you have, what savings you have, what gift funds you have. We start off with that, and then we go into what first time home buyer programs you qualify for, what down payment assistance you qualify. Because I tell them, I say, it sounds great. I'm a salesman. My job is to sell money, but let me give you the real. And the real is all of these programs are going to have some sort of overlay. Whether it's going to be your debt to income ratio, whether it's going to be we're going to charge you a higher interest rate, whether it's going to be a balloon payment that you have to pay back. And that's the part that our community don't understand. First thing they say is, "Hey, give me a first time home buyers program." Well, listen, let's wait, let's see. Why would I give you a first time home buyers program where you got $80,000 sitting in your 401k instead of charging you a 8% interest rate? You could get a 6% interest rate and make it make sense because year over year for the past 40 years, people have been gaining about 3% in equity year over year on their property. So it's a better understanding, and at least you have the option, so you know. So this is great. I like this program because it's a conventional, which you don't normally see on a conventional loan. Someone's covering your down payment assistance, your down payment. I'm sorry, for the first time home buyers. So now you're looking at properties that you probably typically wouldn't get in on an FHA loan, like a condo. Some associations don't accept FHA. So now you looking with a conventional loan, we're going to cover the 3%. You are still responsible for closing costs not paid by the seller, but that's going to save you 3% of the cost that it would have cost you, probably almost half or majority of the cost of purchasing a home. And this doesn't include you getting seller's concessions, doesn't include you getting a gift from your family. So this is
Mm.
a great program, great opportunity to get more buyers into the market.
Amazing. Tiante, is it true that you can layer your down payment? So say someone gets that this program here that you're speaking about, if they're part of like maybe the housing authority and have gone through their program, their first time home buyers program, is it possible that they can layer those amounts as their down payment on their home?
Yes. So my philosophy is everything you hear is possible, but it may not be true for your situation. Because people will tell me, oh, they got a house, they haven't paid anything out of pocket, anything. I'm like, but yeah, but you don't know what the situation was. They could have got a USDA loan and they got the seller to pay all the closing costs. So now you're looking at somebody getting a house completely with no money down. But you don't live in a USDA area. So there are programs that will allow you to stack, so to speak, down payment assistance programs. The city of Newport News have one if you're purchasing in the city as a first time home buyer. They give you up to, I want to say it was $25,000. But again, it sounds great. It has an overlay. So now once you get into the overlays, Virginia Housing, they have a program where they'll give you some money for purchasing a home. But once you get into the overlays, you have to see, okay, will this work for me? Because now I have to meet this criteria where my buying power is lower than it would be without having these extra programs attached to it. And right now, it's not good to have a low buying power because you're probably not going to find anything.
So tell us a little bit about your flyer here. Kind of take us through this.
Well, I'm looking at it on my phone, so excuse my eyes. But basically, it's going to give you some basic requirements. Be a first time home buyer, and this is more of like a advertisement. When you really sit down, we could kind of break it down to you, and I can kind of break it down by knowledge. So if you have a 620 to a 700 credit score, and you could qualify for a conventional loan, they have a restriction of an average AMI, which is the average median income in your area that you have to qualify. Can't be over 80%. So let me put this in layman's terms, right? If you live in the Newport News area and let's just say you make 130,000 and you got a 660 credit score, you're not going to be able to get the 0% down because you're over the average median income, which is the 80% that they're using because I know that's not what Newport News medium income is. So you would have to either work to get your credit score up to 700, which is the next option. Anyone over 700, you're not restricted to that income restriction. So now you have over a 700 credit score, you can make 150, 130, and you can still qualify for this first time homebuyers program. So that's
Wow.
why I try to tell people that all these programs going to have some type of overlays, and you just have somebody that can communicate the overlays to you. That way you can understand. So, and there's another thing on this flyer. I think it said on the flyer, it's up to $15,000 on your down payment. So that doesn't mean that if you buy a home for 300,000, 3% of that is $9,000. They're not going to give you the other 6,000. No. So what that means, you can buy a home up to 500,000, and they will cover the 3% down payment because 15,000 will be the 3%.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. We got a little kind of break here. So I want to hit our audience. Hey, like, share, comment, subscribe. Hey, throw some comments in here. We got a Linden expert in the room right now, okay? If y'all got some questions, ask this brother these questions. Go ahead and hit them comments. I'm gonna go ahead and display y'all's comments on the screen, and so we can go ahead and get this information because today we're focusing on empowering with group economics. What you got, Miss Uganda?
Well, I'm just excited to have Tiante here because when we're in the streets and we're talking about home ownership, it sounds Greek to me. And like my husband handles a lot of the stuff, it sounds Greek to me. But I know and I trust that Tiante is going to give me the great information, the right information to be able to direct people to how to get to him. So, Tiante, how do we get to you?
Well, I'm
Step
all on the socials. I'm all on socials. Tiante Gray on Instagram, Facebook. I have a website, Team Gray Lending. You can always go there and connect with me. And I always just Google me. I mean, it's something gonna come up with social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, some kind of way you're gonna connect to me. And even if all else fail, you can go to the brokerage coremortgage.com. So one of those ways I'm easy to connect with, and I'd be more than happy to give you a one-on-one experience and put you on the path of home ownership. And I like to just say this: home ownership is just not about you owning the home that you live in. Home ownership could be just owning properties, and you could be a landlord to have some tenants.
Yeah,
Now you're getting a residual income. So we
yeah.
just have to look at it in different ways.
I'm glad you brought that up, Tiante, because when we first met, one of the things you were talking about, I know my husband had some money that he wanted to invest, and you were like, invest in real estate, invest in real estate. If you have it doesn't even matter, like an extra $2,000-3,000, you can still invest in real estate.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, you got to get creative. They have land auctions. You can purchase land. They have, a lot of people come with, they want to be an investor. And I tell people always when I do my investors class, you're either going to have to pay with money or time, and sometimes both. And what I mean by that is you can't take a first time home buyer program for 3.5% down and think you're just going to rent out this property. No, you're going to have to give up some time. And that's going to be 12 months of your time living in that as your primary resident. 12 months go by fast. So if not, you can buy this property and rent it out, but you're gonna have to put 20% down. So
No, I
you
got,
could.
I got. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh,
interrupt
go
you.
ahead.
I got a question. We got a lot of the people who watch. They have children, and what kind of advice would you give to the next generation, our future?
The next generation is a couple things here. I would say when you graduate from college, when you get your first job, either purchase your first home or see if there's a family member that may be elderly, they could gift you a home. You can do a gift of equity. I had a couple clients that their mom, up in age, and instead of letting someone take over that property, they did a gift of equity. The equity was used to cover the down payment and the closing costs, and now the next generation has ownership of the house. That's a great way. When you're coming out of college as a college graduate, you can use your actual degree to piece together your time on the job. So if you have a job in your degree field, you only need 30 days of pay stubs and you can pretty much purchase a home.
That's some powerful information. This is one of the things that I constantly think about because when I was younger, as a young man, all I was thinking about was, "Man, I want to get an apartment. I want my own place to live." And I think that everybody should, have that feeling, that they want to do it on their own. But I do think that we should be doing it smart on our own. And this is just something that most of us didn't learn as children. But I think these are the kind of conversations right here where we go ahead and we let that information out and we make sure we empower the people. So I really appreciate everything that you've been given today, brother. Really appreciate it.
Hey man, I appreciate you guys for having me. Once I seen this zero down conventional loan, I thought about all those college graduates. This is graduated in May, and I'm like, well, this is the perfect opportunity to buy a condo, rent it out to your best friend. Y'all could be roommates. You're gonna be roommates with somebody anyway, so you might as well own it. Paying zero down, take that college gift that everyone gave you that money and use it for your closing costs. And now
that's
you are in a door, or find a duplex. You live on one side, you rent out the other side. I mean, it's so many different options out there, and it's a good program to take advantage of.
yeah. Can we get to some of the comments? So I see we have some comments and people have some questions. Um,
Oh, I can't see none of that.
I'm not able to see them, so you might be on your end. So if you could let us see.
okay. All right. Well, I got y'all. That's what I'm here for. So we have Miss Candace Butler Jones, and her question is: I have been approved for a loan, but with what I make, the properties are trash. How can I start investing in real estate?
So one of the things that I would say everybody is have a realistic idea of what your buying power is. Um, and the easiest way to do this is take your gross income and multiply it by 39%. 39% is a good number to use for your front ratio. And what your front ratio is telling you how much mortgage payment I can afford. Now, prices have skyrocketed everywhere. Gas prices not the same it used to be 20 years ago.
That's right.
So in our community, we have to understand that our income is no longer stretching like it used to stretch. So for a person that's trying to invest into real estate, you may want to see if you have a nest egg somewhere, 401k somewhere, and purchase a property as an investment property where you could put 20% down. You're still investing in real estate. You can have an apartment and still own a property across the street that has a tenant in there
Mm.
that may have you get in the game. We do have a program that's a community program. If you do have that 20% down, you can do so. And this is basically to get you to a home that you're going to feel comfortable with. I tell people all the time, sometimes I post on my Facebook, I say, well, this is what $1,500 look like, y'all. Stop saying that you weren't going to pay $1,500 to buy a house. Those houses don't exist no more. You're going to
That's
be looking at a starter home, home that may need some repairs. But if you really want to get a home and you up to the challenge, they have a 203K loan, right? You can find a home that may not be up to your par, but it may have the size that you like, it may have the square footage, the rooms, and you could partner with someone to do the repairs. Two or
right.
three K loan will allow you to purchase the property. They will also give you the money to renovate the property.
Wow.
We
Oh my goodness. That is, man, we have to get people to you. We do not know that. And when you're talking about group economics, that's something that we can use to be able to invest not only here in Newport News, but in different parts of the country. That is so amazing. Can you well, let's get back to the questions because I'm excited about this. Miss Butler Jones, another question. Can I get an investment opportunity from my landlord with my loan?
Can you, well, so that's on your, that depends on the landlord. So the landlord is the seller, right? He's
Yeah.
gonna say if he wants to sell this property to you, maybe at a discount or some type of perks. We give you the loan. You can kind of get the loan and take it anywhere you want to, as far as in
Mm.
property wise. Now it will be good if you have a landlord that's willing to say, "Hey, I'll sell you this property," and he's going to give you some discounts. Because now you're looking at he probably going to cover your closing costs for you since you've been a good tenant. So that's going to help out of pocket expenses. So your loan can be used for different multiple properties. But I hear what you're saying, but I don't think the word is investing. The word is probably going to be, can I use my loan to buy my current place? Which you can. And since you have a relationship with your landlord, that's going to be able to help you leverage some of the costs. Hey, I've been here for 8 years. Go ahead and cover my closing costs. I buy this today.
Yeah.
All right, boom. So those are the type of things you got to look at.
Awesome, awesome. We have some more questions. The Facebook Live is booming. People are watching, they're engaged, and they're really interested in the information that you're laying down. You dropping down some good seeds, Tiante.
Hey, y'all keep liking, sharing, loving, commenting, subscribing. Listen, y'all hit up Miss Uganda's pages, okay? Y'all support her, okay? She out here in these streets helping our people. Y'all go and support the brother Tiante, all right? Y'all go on and hit teamgraylendon.com. Let's go ahead and support our people. Let's empower our communities with group economics.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Got some more questions for us?
Yes, so Miss Iva May Stroyer, amazing. Hey, boo. So she said, recommend looking into different options for first time real estate investing, i.e., house hacking or multifamily properties. With a lot of military and college students, there are always ways of getting a better property.
Yeah, I mean that was more of a statement. But yeah, you can look at look into those things, but it's pretty much the same type of scenarios. Depends on if you have your own cash or using somebody else's cash. When you use somebody else's cash, they're going to have some stipulations on it, right? Um, to get a better property, it depends on if you supporting yourself with your own cash or you using a lender's cash, because a lender's going to qualify you based off it's going to be your primary resident or it's going to be an investment property for you or not. We call it non-occupied co-borrower or occupied borrower. So that's how the lending works. Hey, you can't say that I want to live in this house. I give you a loan with 3.5% down, 3% down, and you don't live in. Then you're dealing with mortgage fraud. So it just all depends on if you plan on living in a home or if you're using your own money. But those are ways that you can do. Like house hacking is basically getting doors like a multi-unit, 2 or 4 unit. You renting out, you live in one and you rent out the other two or the other three. Now you got 4 doors, you stay in a year, you get another 4 door property. Now you got 7 doors. So that's how the house hacking pretty much works.
Wow, wow. One other statement from Sister Bakira Shabazz. We love, she is an activist and hopefully we can get her on this show also. But
Shout out
she
to
says,
Kara.
Bakira, yes. We love Sister Bakira. But she says, change the area you want to live in. You'll be surprised, especially if you want to be a landlord. I'm glad she brought that up because we often hear about properties, oh, you can buy a house for $1 in Detroit. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, they got one in I think Baltimore. You can buy a house in for $1. It has to be like your primary resident, and you have to be able to put in. It's basically like a 2 or 3K loan where you're gonna do the rehab because those houses for $1 and those properties for $1 are distraught properties. So it is out there, but again, we have to change our mindset if you want to live in these areas or you want to be a part of the revitalization of an area as well. Because like people talk about the East End, there's some properties down there that you could get for a lower amount, but there's the stigma. Do I want to live here? So you got to kind of manage that. Are you trying to invest into your future? Or, I mean, we all want to be safe, but so you got to do your research on the area, the crime, everything like that. But yeah, those programs are out there, and typically they're going to be in areas that are ran down or people consider rough, and they want to do the revitalization of the area. But another thing I would say is look at other areas that you may have not considered, like, and for the 757, you're looking at Gloucester, you're looking at Smithfield, you're looking at deep in Suffolk. You go in Suffolk now, you're gonna see $500,000 houses. You're gonna see better quality homes. Same thing with Smithfield. There's some areas over there that's considered USDA that doesn't require a down payment. So we just got to broaden our horizon a little bit. But you may drive 30 minutes, 40 minutes to work. So it's a gift and a curse. You got to manage expectations.
That's true. That's true. I'm glad Ferdinand brought up the question about children because one thing we have been contemplating is I want my children to live with me forever. Like I'm not one of them. I'm not one of the parents that want to push their child out at 18 years old. I want to have a family complex with a garden. We're going to be sustainable. With you talk about properties in Suffolk, I've recently looked at some properties in Suffolk, and like for 2 acres, it was maybe $600,000. I don't know if that's a good price, if it's a bad price. Like, how are we able to really find out if we're getting a good deal?
Well, only thing you can do is what we call a market analysis, right? So same thing with housing. If I sold a house in this particular neighborhood, you see how much the house sold for, and you'll see how much other homes around it has sold for, and that kind of gives you an idea. This is the going price for a 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath home is going for 375 in this area, and so they have all kind of maps and things that you can kind of get an idea of what is going for. Same thing with land. This particular land for 2 acres in Suffolk, this part of town sold for 600,000. So now you got to see what other land has sold for recently. You know, in a real estate, if they already started developing that area, that land is going to be a lot more. When we even do land loans, I got to put that out there. So if you see some land, see some property that you want to develop with your family, but understand this, you're going to have to put some skin in the game. Land loans are high risk loans, so you're going to have to put down 35%, but they're covering the other 65%. So those are the realistic conversations that we have to have in our community. We got to find Big Mama's land. We got to find the land that our family own. That's the key right there, because we already have land in our generations, but for whatever reason, family drama, whatever, that land has been given away, and some still hold on to the land. So we got to have conversations with our grandparents and our great aunts, seeing who owns this land. Where's this land at? What happened to this?
I
Where's
want
the
to dive in
deed?
on that, on Mr. Tiante. I really want to touch that because this is definitely about generational wealth. But I would also say that part of the reason why we're having those problems between generations of holding on to properties, holding on to land, it's probably got something to do with financial literacy as well. You
Mm.
know, understanding the value of property, the value of art, the value of all these different things that they have a different type of value than our car or whatever else that we may value. Right? What do you think about that?
It's just all about a mindset shift. I mean, like you said, we value Jordans, we value rims, we value cars, and even to the day, like I got a little Honda, right? And I love it. It's kind of a little beat up, but people look at me like, "Oh, this." I'm like, "Okay, whatever. This don't pay for.
It's
It's
paid
cheap
for.
on gas." Listen, I travel. I love traveling. I'm like, I don't need nothing fancy. I mean, I got
Right.
the Beamer outside, but I'm like, I love the Honda because it's so. I fill that thing up and I'm good. But it's all
Hmm.
about perception, and we're too old now to still have those same mindsets that we had when we was in high school about some shoes and a fancy car.
That's
And
right.
time is not waiting for us to say, okay, what about ownership? What about stocks? What about 401k? What about index annuity life plans and things that are really going to matter for us in the future? And,
That's,
it's an asset management. You're taking one asset and you put it into a asset that's going to gain equity. And and then we look at people that's on these social media platforms and living life, and we wonder how are they living? Why they always traveling? Well, because they probably got somebody paying their bills because of they own property, they own
mhm.
stocks, they own investments. So while you trying to buy up Gucci and all the top bottles, they
They're making
making
their
money,
money work for them. They're
making
making
their money worth for 'em. And it's something that we have to. Nobody else gonna teach us. Well, we have to teach us. We spend all the time on TikTok, but we ain't looking at TikTok to get better. We looking at TikTok to laugh and key. I'll say this real quick. I was a big sports fan, and I used to sit there and watch 3 hours of a football game, watch the next game, did this, watch the basketball game, do all this stuff. And I thought to myself, I said, these guys getting paid millions and millions of dollars. And
That's
I'm sitting here watching the hooping and hollering, bro. What? Let me get my time back and focus on stuff that I can do to help me out. For one day, you could be watching me.
that's
Fact.
right. It's that epiphany that happens. I remember it's like it hit when HUD had came down and told Newport News that we did our big dog and pony show for the Choice Neighborhood Initiative, and HUD had told Newport News that they have the best community engagement plan ever. But it was truly just myself going door to door with the people, the volunteers that we have, and then the people who in the city, which was Latara, who she was, shout out to Latara. She's the director of James City County Communications. But at that time, me and her had a community calendar online. And HUD said it was the best engagement plan that they ever had. And I was like, well, if I could get Newport News $30 million to do this, then certainly we could get it for ourselves. And it was that epiphany that made me want to start my own business. So I love it. I love it. We do have some more questions if we can get to it.
Uh
Yeah,
oh.
yeah. Let's dive into the questions.
All right. So Miss Kendra Edwards, she said, I'm ready to find a home for my family. Where do I start?
Well, I always say start with a lender like myself. Reach out to me, because this way you'll know what the numbers look like, right? It's no sense in going looking at a whole bunch of houses that you can't afford. It's good to give you that desire and that passion. Say, oh, one day. That's great. I'm not knocking you on that. But if you are serious about purchasing a home, see what your numbers look like. Because if you qualify for 250, you can see, hey, maybe I'm gonna start from here, get this 250 home, build some equity, let life happens, and see what happens with life, and I grow from there. Um, we a lot of times you just don't go into the $500,000 home, right? Build the equity that can purchase the $500,000 home. Some years, two things are going to be true. You're going to need somewhere to stay, and you're going to need somewhere to live, and time is not going to wait for anybody. It's going to keep going, right? So that's how you maximize it. Now, once you have an idea of what your numbers look like, get with a partner with a realtor. These realtors love showing homes. They're going to show you a home, but take a Saturday and go look at some of these open houses by yourself just to get the passion going. Like, oh, but understand that until I get my numbers, don't spend a lot of time wasting your gas looking at all these homes until you know where your numbers is. It doesn't take much to get a pre-approval. I average 24 hours on pre-approvals. We give you a soft credit check off top, let you know what your real credit score is, not Credit Karma, not anything that you see online. We let you know what your mortgage score is. I calculate your debt to income ratio, and that's how you get your buying power.
I love that. I love how you broke it down. Now, Tiante, you say get your numbers, but it's not that easy because I want you to talk about all the paperwork that's required when you first initially contact you, because that could be a barrier looking at how much paperwork you need. So, can we prepare people a little bit for that process?
All right, so one of the things that I used to do apartment management, it's the same paperwork. I need your driver's license, I need your pay stubs, I need your bank statements for 2 months, the most recent 30 days pay stubs, your W-2s from 22, 23. A lot of time you ask for additional paperwork, but that's along the line. And you got to think about it like this, right? Who in their right mind is going to give you $300,000 without asking for paperwork and information that they could feel safe and secure that you can pay this loan back? That's the easiest way. You're asking somebody for 300, 200, 400, thousands of dollars. You can't get frustrated over some little paperwork. What most people, they get frustrated on the I don't keep good records. Oh, I don't know where that is. I don't know. We help you try to find the stuff, such as getting your tax transcript from the IRS, or go to your HR and get the W-2s from them, or why don't you keep your tax returns when you file your taxes? So we as people have to do better job of keeping records, and they don't have to be papers. It could be all through email. When I do my taxes, I tell them, send me an email. Don't send me no paper taxes. I ain't got time for that. When I do I haven't printed out a W-2 in probably like 6 years because I don't want that paper trail, but I know I can always search my mail and pull it right on up.
Makes sense. Makes so much sense. Now, what about people who may be self employed and they haven't filed their business on their taxes or may have gypsy taxes? Excuse me, gypsy businesses. Is there a way that they can maneuver through that, or what would they would have to provide to you to show that proof?
So self-employment is a ground where a lot of people have difficulties, and the way that you get through that is just understanding what they are looking for. So if you're self-employed, you're claiming a lot of losses on your business. We're going to use a 2-year history. All right, so and when I say stuff, y'all, I'm telling you guys the standard guideline, but there's ways to do all type of stuff. So like if you own your business for more than 5 years, they'll be willing to use 1 year of tax returns, your most recent 1 year of tax returns. But you have to have your taxes filed for those 5 years, and you can't have it under a certain decrease of income. So, but for the standard, just for standard ABCs, 2 years tax returns, and we're going to use the net income that you have claimed over the 2 years. So simple math: if you make 100,000 in 2022, you made 100,000 in 2023. That's 200,000. 2 years divided by two. That's 100,000 divided by 12. Your income monthly is $8,333. Right? But if you make 100,000 and then you write off 40,000, income is 60. It ain't 100. You got all those write-offs. So you can't have it both ways where you're telling the government, hey, I only made 60, but then you're telling us, can you count the whole 100? No, no, no. We got to use that net income. Now, there, like I said, some overlays where you can get some of your expenses back, like travel, gas, stuff like that. You can get credited back for. But just remember, 2 years tax returns. So if you've written off a lot this year, you may wait and try to do something next year. This is just for traditional lending, right? We have other programs like bank statement programs where we can use 12 months of bank statements that's going into your business. We can calculate your income based off your bank statements. They have DSCR loans, but those are like 20%, 15% type of programs. But for traditional lending, you need to have 2 years solid tax returns that you're claiming income, not claiming a whole lot of losses, because we have to take that in consideration.
Ooh, child, I'm full. I am full for this information. Please let people know how they can get a hold of you, how they can contact you and get this process started. Because I sit here with my notebook, but it was so much information. I'm like, okay, I really just have to do a sit down with Tiante and bring my paperwork and let's get it rolling.
Well, one of the things I always do is I do reels. So if you follow Team Gray Lending on Instagram, I got a Facebook page, Team Gray Lending is Gray, Gray. All right. You'll see reels where I do educational reels. I'm starting to post when I do a live, I'm starting to post it on YouTube. So you can just search Tiante Gray. And that way you can sit there while you're driving, whatever you're doing, you can listen to the lives and you can get the full information. Because a lot of time we get excited on these viral posts that only a minute and a half, but you're not getting all the information. So that's why you need to get all the information, fully understand, and that way you have the proper expectations. You could, I mean, I got some more room for some actual Facebook friends, so Tiante Gray, but you can always follow me at Team Gray Lending on all platforms. LinkedIn is Tiante Gray as well.
Awesome, awesome. For that, you have any questions?
No, I think that the brother then came through and set us all on fire. We got some information that we need to go and do some research on. We need to make sure we're right on, and definitely we need to get them credit scores up, and we need to be hitting teamgraylending.com. 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 Okay.
Love it.
Everybody go to teamgraylending.com. Y'all hit contact up and send the homie Tiante a message. Tell him he did a great job on this video. Tell him that he helped us empower ourselves with group economics.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. It is always a pleasure speaking to you, Tiante. You always do an amazing job with educating us and making sure that we are building generational wealth through real estate. I finally met his infamous children. Tiante is like a super dad of a magnitude that I can't even describe. He is flying time zones, making sure he's making wrestling matches like yourself for that. I just love the fact that we have strong black men that are doing some great things in our community and just sprinkling your greatness on our next generation. So thank you so much. Tiante, do you want to give in a little plug about the fatherhood program that you are a part of as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm gonna send them a check. They need to send me a check if I'm gonna give them another plug. But no, something that I do is my passion project. Do a fatherhood program. Is with CDR Fatherhood. Basically, it's like an 11-week program it's 11 sessions. I try to condense it a little bit, but we just talk about co-parenting. We talk about men's health, men's emotions, being better fathers in general as an open dialogue. I enjoy doing it because I'm able to mentor a lot of young fathers, and I'm able to learn as well. And I like doing that. So if you have somebody, they do incentivize it for the people that actually come to complete the course. But if you have somebody that should or this can help them, please reach out to me as well. I'd be more than happy to give them the right direction for it.
Well, we really appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for coming through and giving us all this knowledge. Trust and believe we're going to be reaching back out to you real soon so you can come and give us part two. Because once some of us get our stuff together, we're going to need to know the next steps.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I mean, I'm here for you. I appreciate you guys having me. I got to see what's going on with this website now.
All right, brother. Well, you take care and have a great weekend.
All
Thank
right.
you
Thank
so
y'all.
much.
So,
Thank
Miss Yugonda, well,
Yeah,
man, that was some amazing information that we got from the brother Tiante. Thanks for inviting him.
absolutely. I was so excited when he said that he could join because he serves as the housing lead on the Choice Neighborhood Initiative in the Citizens Advisory Committee. So
Mm,
he's our plug. He is making sure that the project is staying on track, staying true to what the community initially wanted. Like even little things like us designing what the carpet will look like in the different colors, we're making sure to that detail that is done according to how we laid out in the plan 5 years ago. So he does some monumentous work there. And I'm just so appreciative of him lending his skills, his talent to the community.
big facts. Big
Yeah.
facts. So let's dive right in on this next one. Let's go right into Ridley.
Ridley. So this is what we're referring to, and this is a Choice Neighborhood Initiative, the Citizens Advisory Committee. We are a group of residents that live in the East End, and we do have some stakeholders. So there's people that may have lived in the East End, maybe had their families lived in the East End. They're from here, and they are concerned about what's happening. So what we do is advocate and we educate around the Newport News Choice Neighborhood Initiative project, and that is in three different focus areas. One, as you already heard, is Tiante. He has his own company, but he's also our housing lead. And we need people on that committee to make sure that as you see the buildings come up, there's people making sure that it stays true to what the community wanted. But also, we're looking at things like the budget, making sure that they're not going over costs, making sure that residents do get the first right to return. And we'll have some more information on that next week as well. Residents that were relocated because of the Choice Neighborhood Initiative, they have the first right to return to the new project. So we were happy to say that there was 30, I believe 34 apartments that were set aside, and the Lift and Rise, the buildings, the apartment complexes that are on 28th Street. And all 34 of those apartments were taken by Ridley residents that said that they wanted to come back to the community. So our goal on this the Citizens Advisory Committee is to make sure that we're advocating for not only the residents but the homeowners. Because if remember the Choice Neighborhood Initiative, the area, the neighborhood is from 36th Street, well, the overpass, all the way to the waterfront. There's a lot of homeowners that are in that. And that's the reason why we have to address the house, and not only the relocated residents, but the people who are homeowners that want to build generational wealth. We have our people team, and the people team is really focused on the Ridley residents themselves, making sure that they're getting the skills, the resources, the financial literacy, the budgeting, the increase of the income, the workforce development, whatever they need to transfer their lives to come back to the community. That's what the people team is focused on. So Miss Latoya Breckenridge is one of the leads on that committee. She is amazing. She co-leads with Kiana Tynes. And I love Kiana Tynes because she is actually a Ridley resident herself, who empowered herself, who engaged in the process. And she's making sure that, her and her family are one of those lives that we're talking about being transformed. So the
Homegrown.
people team's doing some great work.
Absolutely. That's amazing. You
Yeah.
know, when I think about gentrification, I wonder. I've seen how it works socioeconomically, but I wonder how people feel. You know,
Mm.
because this is where legalese and legality comes in, and nobody had to show up with a gun, but you got to go. So have you been able to talk to some of these families, some of the family members, and see how they feel about having to relocate with maybe even with little notice?
Absolutely, absolutely. It is one of the stories that we have that are very heartbreaking. Is a older gentleman. He was in the military. He bought and paid for his home, and because our real estate tax had increased so by double digits, but for several years, the past several years, we are we are actually he moved out. We had to help him move his furniture. He sold his house and he moved in with his daughter in Jersey. And this was several years ago, but it's just so sad to see that in your senior years you worked your entire life to be able to buy a home and you think it's yours, but because of the increase in the real estate tax, the increase in taxes, you can't afford it. Your insurance increases, and that's where the Citizens Advisory Committee really has a part to play. We have a position where we are able to direct people to different meetings to be able to drive the decision making table around different things that are happening. And a lot of that is we don't understand what this process looks like. I never even knew about a tax assessor until we started looking at our taxes increasing. That's a whole nother department, and they have a formula, a system that they work to come up with how much our tax assessment is going to be. So last year it increased. It actually was it kind of stayed level last year because we council, they heard us and they were able to rework some numbers. This year, unfortunately, it did increase tremendously by like 17%. And we want to make sure that people are educated about the programs. So Miss Tiffany Boyle, she actually attended our community walk yesterday and she brought some information out about the tax abatements that the out of her office, the Commissioner of Revenue. We want to bring her on here as soon as possible. But this is the information that we need to share within our community on these type of platforms, on ways that people can not only build generational wealth, but be able to stay in the homes that they have worked so hard to pay for. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree. I agree with you 100%. We need to get our people in a position where the information is solid and the
mhm.
information is easy to accept. It's palatable, and what we'll start to see is people in the community use that information to help others. Because that's what this is really about when we talk about group economics. It's about helping each other. At one point in time, group economics might have been, hey, Uganda, go over to Ferdinand Mama house and get some sugar. Get an egg, right? And you better not come back without that egg, okay? I can't
That's,
make this cake without that egg.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
We didn't value that, but that's really how we were able to grow, how we were able to maintain. We use the barter system. Auntie over there or the neighbor has this and you have that, and you come together and make it work. And I think one thing that we have, I can stand on a whole platform about this, but I really truly believe that um uh we have forgotten that. We have forgotten who we are as a people. We have forgotten one thing the great philosopher Kanye West said very well is that they made us hate ourselves and love their wealth. And that's what I really think happened through integration, is that we forgot how to fight. We forgot how to fight for what is right, for what we needed. It's not that we need a hand up. We just need an equal opportunity. We need an opportunity to make it happen on our own and not have systems that tear us down. So when I look at a situation that I had yesterday. A single mother, she's about to be evicted, and it's only because she did not know how to put her money in escrow. So I was able to take her through. Look, Miss Shonda, yes, we lost the village mindset. We certainly have, sis. We certainly have. But this young lady, we were talking about back in the day how we used to have rent parties. I remember me and my sisters having rent parties in Dickerson Court. We would come together, somebody was short, and we would come together, sell chicken, sell plates, sell shots, and come together to make somebody's rent happen. And we don't see that anymore today. We're dependent on systems and organizations to pay rent when we fall behind, and the help just isn't there. We have to be able to lift each other up because we can't look at the system, social services, none of this. They're too overwhelmed to help us. So how do we come together to get that village mindset back?
That's a great question. When you think about when you say the village mindset, I think we have to first take a look at how our ancestors lived in a village so that we
Mm,
can really have an understanding of how we achieve that, because there was a certain type of togetherness that we had. We ate differently, we practiced differently, we had different types of rituals, we had different type of religious practice, right? All of our entire lifestyle was totally different, and it was conducive to having that village mindset and having a group of individuals that had collectivism as the core of their togetherness.
yeah, I understand that. I'm thinking back on our first years in Really Circle when we were really boots on the ground, for that first year of the Choice Neighborhood Initiative. Families weren't coming out like during the day, weren't engaging with each other on other sides unless you knew somebody. And it was really difficult that first year getting people to just talk to us. We were new, walking door to door with information. And although this information was there to benefit them, it was the trust factor. Who are you? Why are you knocking on my door? Even to the fact that it was a detriment of not getting engaged in certain projects. So as we continued, we were able to build that trust factor, but we were able to be there and consistent. I think a lot of times it is that organizations, people come in and say, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then a month or when the fund is gone, they're out the way. They're nowhere to be found. So having people like us, like Sister Bakura, people who are boots on the ground that they know that they can contact, that are consistent with the work, is one of the ways that we can rebuild that village mindset. But also, you were talking about nutrition. When we were in Ridley Circle, we were making sure we had a food program. We were providing healthy foods and vegetables from the farmers market, which opens this Saturday. Remember, y'all, the farmers market opens this Saturday, June 1st, 9 to 1 p.m. Make sure you show up. But we were providing fresh vegetables to the family, and it was so different because people were coming out. They were saying, "Look, you ain't hear from this, but this is what's going on," because they felt a sense of ownership in their community, even to the point that Ridley Circle itself, this crime rate before they were torn down was reduced by 30%. That's monumentous when it wasn't any real extra money poured into the community. It was just connections. It was that bartering system. It was people feeling that they were able to communicate with their neighbor and trusting that the organizations and the people that were there were truly there to help.
I'm glad you brought that to the table. One of the things that I think about when I'm living in group economics is really just taking my gifts and my talents and putting them to work for those who need the help. Because at the end of the day, like if we need some really valuable media, or we need some really valuable, we need the best of the best of whatever. Well, the best of the best costs $20,000 for 30 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The best of the best costs, it costs a whole kidney. You got
Exactly.
to give 10 toes. Just
Right.
so I think that the people in our community, in our tribe, in our village, who have these abilities and these talents. I'm not saying that we give it all away, but we got to have we got to teach the next generation or something. What we got in college that we may have been able to get somebody else to pay $200,000 or $300,000 for, or
Yes.
we put, maybe we paid for it. No matter which way that it was paid for, I do think that part of group economics is really getting with that next generation, or just getting with those who are interested in the community,
Yes.
saying, all right, listen, let me give y'all some workshops. Okay.
Mhm.
This is how you do this. Like, this costed a whole lot of money to learn this. So understand the value of what I'm teaching you. And then, maybe out of 10, there'll be 2 or 3 who will take it serious. But that's still 2 or 3 more in our village than before yesterday.
Yes, yeah.
Man,
Look at what you're doing right here, right now, Ferdinand. Like, expose your gifts. This is your gift because everybody that knows me knows I'm not a technical person at all. So the fact that we can even have this podcast, that is us collaborating, coming together to get the information to the people because we are passionate about uplifting people in
that's
humanity, and we fight against injustice, and we know that this is a platform that's going to be able that people are going to watch. I mean, the Facebook Live, I can't even read this fast. The Facebook Live is going off because this is a platform that people are going to pay attention to. And you have exposed your gift, lend it to the community so that we can uplift in your own special way. I think back to the community walk that we had yesterday. We had some phenomenal Black lawyers that from Legal Aid Society that lended their gift. They after hours, after work, they came and walked in martial courts to make sure that people understood the new laws that went into place, to make sure that they're getting the information out. And not only young Black lawyers, but we had some white people that were walking through martial courts too, because we do have to use people accordingly, according to their gift, because it's all about uplifting the greater purpose of what we're all here to do. And to me, I believe it's about pouring greatness and healing what's happening for our future generations.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate everything that you said. Thank you for the compliments. This journey has been a challenge for me, but I started walking this journey of exposing my gift, leadership, things of that nature, as a result of relationships in my life becoming very hard to find healing for.
Mhm.
And so I had to go out and find the answers on my own. And there's a lot of dead ends that I ran into,
Mhm.
and if the community was a little bit stronger, if I could depend on this person and that person and that person and that person, I wouldn't have had to go down those dead ends. They would
Yes.
have been able to point me to the exact way that had no pitfalls, no barriers, no sand pits, no
That's
hurdles, and I would have been able to have success in my relationships as a result. Sometimes maybe we do need to go down that path where we need to see we see the pitfalls and we see the successes as well.
right.
But not everybody has the foundation that is prepared to go down that path. That is a difficult path to walk, and you go down that path alone. You
That's
know,
right.
so the individuals who have the strength, who have the abilities, when it comes down to media, when it comes down to holistic health, when it comes down to corporate structure, when it comes down to parental guidance, I
Yes.
have those abilities and those skills. But where I may be lacking at is real estate. Where I
That's
may be lacking at is shipping and receiving. Where I
right.
may be lacking at is writing my own contracts or something, making sure that I have my invoices right. Who knows, right? But we all need to come together, and we need to bring our gifts and our talents to the table and say, all right, listen, let's go ahead. Matter of fact, you know what? I got to say this. My homeboy Fritz. Fritz said,
We love Fritz.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Shout out
Yes.
Ungentrified. Shout out
Yes.
Fritz.
Gentrified. Yes.
So Fritz
Ungentrified.
told me, he said, what's the next step after this togetherness of what we're doing? And I forgot the term of what he called it. But he had a term of what he called it, and basically what it was the community coming together, and then the elders, right, the wisest elders, they pay attention to the children, and they say, hey, all right, that one right there, he's gonna be the lawyer. All right, listen,
Yes.
so you start doing this, parent. We're going to go ahead and start putting the money together and all the infrastructure together to make sure that one goes through law school.
That's
Okay.
right.
All you got to do is make sure, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you got to make sure you eat bananas, make sure you read some books, make sure you go to school, do what he's supposed to do. Right. But we're going to make sure that Joker is
Is the Lord.
Esquire
That's
eventually. Right.
right.
we're going to make sure this one over here, that one's going to build houses. This one right here, that one's going to be a counselor, right? This is, in my opinion, this is where we need to get to in that village mindset. We need to come together and we need to all have, we need to build great relationships with each other so that we can have the elders say, hey, that one right there, your son, listen, I know you probably want him to play for the Knicks, okay? But what we're going to have him do is own the next 100 Porsche dealerships. And
Come
we're going
on.
to start him off by learning how to build a Porsche from scratch,
Mm,
right? Well, if that child is tagged at an early age, everything that I'm saying, it might sound far-fetched on this video call, but I guarantee it's not even close to far-fetched if we start up a child in the way that they should go. And as they get older, they won't depart.
I definitely agree with that, bro. Like having that mindset of okay, I can even talk to your child, because sometimes we get in communities where mothers don't even want you to say nothing to their baby. So it's a part of not only addressing the youth, and that's why I love our groups that work with the children, but we have to also heal and work to feed into our mothers and to our fathers and build Black families back together. My relationship with my husband, like people are like, oh my goodness, that is so amazing, but it's not far-fetched. We have to be a real honest about what does it take to heal a Black family, to stay with the person. And men, you and Shonda are amazing, in raising your children. With I come by y'all making smoothies and greens, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But that's a true partnership that you have.
Thank
Even
you.
with my husband, he's a truck driver. It's a partnership, and partnership doesn't always look pretty, but it's necessary because we have 4 children that we are putting into this world, and we're going to make sure that our legacy and our bloodline is going to be something that brings some substance. I'm sorry, it's ambulances and
It's
stuff
all
coming.
good. I'm glad you brought everything you brought to the table, and definitely thank you for the compliments about my beautiful wife, Shonda and I. And
Yeah.
thank you for the compliments about my children. I love what they're doing. But for the melanated family, for the village to grow, for the village to heal, all the tools are already there. It's knowledge that has to be applied, but at the same time, we've got to live in the reality of how Spider-Man's Uncle Ben, he said, "With great power comes great responsibility." So I look at that like this: when we apply it to us in our village, I got a lot of ability when it comes down to this media stuff. I can do some amazing things, and I don't need not one person to help me. Right? Well, that's great power. So now I have great responsibility. This is how I need to see it as a leader. And every other leader, in my opinion, needs to see it that way. Right? So maybe the next person, they don't have a whole lot of skills in media. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe they got a whole lot of skills in law. Well, you got some great responsibility now within your village, because this is about group economics. This is not about packing your pockets. This is not about packing my pockets. This is about us packing all of our pockets at the same exact time. Also packing the brain.
That's right.
We've got to be thinking about group economics from a spiritual, mental, and a physical standpoint. That
Mm,
way, we can actually have healing within our community, because
that's
so many of us are thinking that somebody else did it. And when the leaders come together, we'll come together and say, "Hey, listen, didn't nobody do this to us? We did it to us."
that's
When
right.
the leaders do that, and the next generation sits down, and the real intelligent ones, they say, "You know what? If we did this to us, that means that we could fix it." And they
That's right.
sit back coming up with ideas to fix it. Now what happens is, in a 20 to 30, 40-year period of time, what most of the world didn't even think was possible, oh, it happens.
Yes.
Forget it being possible at that point. It becomes something that we see in real time, healing in real time. We
Yeah.
see leaders in melanation take all of our people to the next level. One generation.
I love it. I mean, that's the utopia that I see in my head, and I know it can happen. I know it can happen because we have people who fight for it every day. And when you talk about law, like Bakura, she's not officially a lawyer, but she's my lawyer. Like, she's the only person that I trust that if something happens, and it has happened, things have happened. And I was like, Bakura, what do I do? She knows the law like the back of her hand. We need to uplift people like her that can help us in situations, you
Bakira,
know.
where you at? Listen, we'll send you the link next Friday,
Is
6
that
p.m. Be ready.
she look, she because I'm looking at these, I can't even read up the email the messages because there's so many. But she said, we're gonna have her on here next Friday. We have to have Sister Bakura
Facts.
Shabazz.
You know,
Yes.
I was talking to a few brothers today concerning reentry types of
Yeah.
projects that they would like to create. I was talking to a couple of the Moors. They had some amazing ideas. And when it comes down to what Bikira brings to the table and knowledge, the brothers, especially the brothers, need that knowledge
That's right.
because they are being targeted more than anyone else when it comes down to the prison system. When it comes down to getting people into that courtroom who have to stand in front of the judge and they don't have on a suit and they ain't got no suitcase, no briefcase, and none of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You just standing there, maybe in an orange jumpsuit. It's our brothers
That's
more than
right.
anyone else. You know, we got a lot of our sisters who are dealing with this too, right?
Mhm.
But people like Bakura definitely come on this platform and tell us how to work through those situations.
Mm.
Obviously, we need to make sure that we're not making poor decisions,
Yeah.
okay? Because
Yeah.
obviously that leads us down the path of being in trouble with police. But if a brother or a sister isn't doing anything wrong, there's some knowledge that this sister has that she need to give to the whole world
Oh,
so that we can
absolutely.
operate in this village mindset because it's not just about money.
Mm.
It's also about safety. It's also
Yeah.
about protection. It's also about guarding the community. This is the only reason why Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma fell. And that was because of security. They had security, but when these mofos started dropping bombs from the planes, they didn't have nothing that they could, use to combat that. When we're guarding our community properly and our children are safe and they don't have to worry about all this nonsense that's going on in this world, well,
That's
what
right.
happens is they grow like they're supposed to.
Yes.
And they lead us into the future as they are supposed to.
Yes. Now, one, I'm so glad you brought that up. You had some one thing that you said. I heard create, the word create, and we love the Moors. The Moor brothers, like, they are here solid. One thing that I really want us to get past is reinventing the wheel. There's so many people that have some amazing programs. Why aren't we supporting them? And why can't we get past our own ego sometimes to work with our brother that's doing the same thing? How come we can't support it regardless of whose name is on it? Why can't we support and say, okay, you have a good program here. Let me see how I can lend my talents, lend my gifts, because it's not about me, my name, my business name, none of that. It's about doing what we are here to do to uplift people, humanity. Speak about
All
that.
right, so let me dive in on that.
Yes.
When it comes down to why our people don't support others, it has a lot to do with clout, and it also
Mm,
has a lot to do with European psychological conditioning
come on.
that each person, not every person, but let's say that each person who's dealing with these problems allowed into their being, right? Fear, guilt, doubt, and disbelief, major paralyzers. But when we start talking about people not supporting, that has a lot to do with what they have as values, what they have as virtues within them, and what they believe about themselves. What we know to be true about ourselves drives every single decision that we make. It drives every single conversation that we have. It drives everything about our being from the moment we are born to the day that we transition into the next life. So when we have these situations where we have this or that person who doesn't support, selfishness is part of that.
Mm,
Jealousy can be part of that. Hate can be part of that. And there's a number of other negative virtues that could be a part of that. But these are effects of a cause. Well,
mm,
what is the cause? The cause is leadership and philosophy. Right now, at this point in history, where we are failing is leadership and philosophy.
Mm.
Well, if you go to a hospital, I don't care which one you go to, you're going to find multiple people who've been going back and forth to that hospital for the last 20 to 30 years for the exact same problem. That's a leadership and philosophy problem right there. And I can go
Explain.
down the list of all the other ones. I'm just giving
Yeah.
you one or two.
Can you explain it a little bit?
Absolutely. So when you
Leadership
go
and
to a
philosophy.
hospital and you see somebody who's been going back and forth to that same hospital for 20 to 30 years for the exact same problem, there's two problems, there's three problems there. One, that person is doing something wrong, because at the end of the day, healing is each person's individual responsibility. There's no hospital or doctor alive that's responsible for my healing or for Uganda's.
That's
Now, there's a bunch of doctors who say they're responsible, but in actual reality, there's no such thing. That's just something that they write on a piece of paper. The only person who can heal you is you.
mm,
Now, at the same time,
that's true.
part of the reason why I do put a certain amount of pressure on these physicians, on these people who got MD at the end of their name, is because you took what's called the Hippocratic Oath.
Yep.
Okay, Hippocratic Oath. That
Yes.
Hippocratic Oath comes from Hippocrates. Hippocrates did what Dr. Sabi did. He helped people
Mm.
heal only using herbs.
Come
Now,
on
there may be
now.
some pieces about Hippocrates that I don't know, and then I may have missed that part, but the parts that I do know about is he used herbs. Okay.
Yes.
And with understanding that, what I need to understand is why doctors are using chemicals.
Come on
Now,
now.
I already understand. I'm just throwing this out there. The
Yeah, you're right.
problem is leadership and philosophy. The
Philosophy.
philosophy has to change, and the leaders need to be replaced.
That makes so much sense. When we're talking about replacing leaders, it really comes with that accountability. You say you put the pressure on the doctors. We need that type of pressure applied in so many different facets of what we are addressing in our community, right? So
That's a
how
fact.
do we talk about accountability? I know Sister Bakura, she demands accountability. You're not even gonna come to her incorrect, and myself as well, and other
I got it.
leaders. But we have wasted a lot of time getting to this point, saying we're not going to waste time. So how can we get that accountability immediately?
All right. So the way we get that accountability immediately is by the strongest leaders in the village. They have to be an example. They got to be an example from the top to the bottom. That's every part of their being has to be an example. It can't just be, oh, you're really knowledgeable or you're really influential or you're no. Every piece of the being has to be an example, a walking demonstration of righteousness, so that the people can create new heroes in their minds. When they create these new heroes in their minds, what will happen is they will start to emulate that behavior. When they start
Mm.
to emulate that behavior, what will happen is a bunch of their little homeboys and their little homegirls will start to emulate that behavior as well. And then what we will see is a paradigm shift as a result of the strongest leaders deciding to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to operate at the highest levels in
Yeah.
maturity, responsibility, accountability, humility, and sacrifice.
Yeah, Sister Bakira say you better your walk must match your talk. That's something that our
Looks like we might be having some internet issues. Hopefully, everybody can hear me. We might be having some internet issues, Miss Uganda. But
well
what were you
look.
saying though?
No, I was saying that our ancestors, they always embedded like you walk it like you talk it in our community. You better be it, stand on it. Don't be about it. I mean, don't just talk about it, you be about it. And we have
Absolutely.
all these sayings in our community that talk about accountability, but do we really dive deep to see what that means? What does accountability mean as a parent? What does accountability mean as a mother? A black woman in this community, a black man in this community? What is our accountability not only to our families but also our community? You
Well, when
know,
we talk about accountability to the community or to anyone else, it all starts with self. So when a person knows thyself, they love thyself, they
yeah,
trust thyself, They have courage for thyself. And when they operate in self this way, well, they're never going to do anything to someone else that's something that they wouldn't do to themselves, right? So
Yeah.
they have created a whole new foundation. This foundation will structure the way that they move from that point forward. So that accountability will easily be ingrained. Right now, we have a lot of people taking accountability by talking. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this, this or that, and blah 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 blah, and da 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 da. And what is that? That's just you talking. Real accountability is action, just like love. It's an action word. Don't tell me you love me. Show me.
That's
Don't
right.
tell me I'm sorry. Show me. Don't
Show
tell me
me.
you won't do this or that again. Show me you won't do it this or that again. We grown adults. When I go to Chick-fil-A, I'm not able to go there. I mean, they're not able to tell me about the chicken sandwich that I purchased. No, they can't tell me about the chicken sandwich. You better give me that chicken sandwich. I want
Exactly.
results.
That's
This is
right.
what this is about. We need to get to a place in our village where we are focused on results. We are too many of us use this word, all right? And I'm not trying to hate on nobody, but this is a problem word. Intentional. That's a
Mm.
problem word. We're not putting results in the same sentence with intentional. We need to replace intentional with results oriented or results whatever. Results with a hyphen, whatever it needs, but results needs to be in there
Exactly.
because nobody gives a damn about intentions.
That's right.
Everybody that I know, I don't care who they are, they care about results. When they go to the grocery store and they get them
Yes.
some money, they expect to walk out the grocery store with groceries, right?
That's right.
you know what
How
I'm
many
saying?
people we see going off on McDonald's employees because the order's not right? But why
Right.
can't we apply that same accountability to a government structure or organizations that are here and getting money to take care of us?
Well, the
Or
reason why we're not able to apply it to these other structures is because we have to apply it to self first. That
yeah.
is a prerequisite to being able to achieve higher heights in other things. This is the equivalent of you saying, "Hey, you know what, husband, we about to have us a 10,000 square foot house, and guess what? You can have that. That
Mm,
is already yours, but you will not have it until you make sure that the foundation is proper."
come
Because
on.
if you try to build that house on a foundation that is not proper, that is not ready for what you're going to put on top of it, it will crumble.
It will
So
fall.
the reason why we have not seen the results that we need to see in these different agencies and organizations is because they don't respect us. I wouldn't respect us either.
That's
We
right.
don't work together.
Mm-hmm.
Our money is being spent outside of our community on a regular basis when we got people in our community who make cupcakes,
Yeah.
that do hair, that build houses, that mentor children. That
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can go down the list. I
That's
don't have enough fingers for
that's right.
all of the things that our people who are amazing at the things that they do,
That's
that
right.
of what they do, right? So
Mhm.
we have to focus on self first. We
That's
have to actually get to a point of understanding that we've got to we once we focus on self, what will happen is this: fear, guilt, doubt, and disbelief. These things will minimize to a point where you'll start to see people making moves that before it was like, oh nah, man, the Jakes might see me, or
right.
this or that. Like they got all kinds of different excuses. What you'll see is people just be like, yo, nah, I'm getting it. This is mine right here.
Mm-hmm.
Not I'm gonna win, not I'm gonna graduate. No, that
It's
I already see that degree in my hand. I already see that 200,000. It's already, I see it in my ATM. When I took $50 out, it said $199,950 was left. But I see that.
come on.
I see that.
Yes.
When I know that to be true, the subconscious is put to work. But we have to know thyself first. This is the part that most of us are missing. We are trying to move without doing prerequisites. How in the hell you gonna go get a doctorate degree and you ain't even got no bachelor's?
Come on now.
How you gonna go get a bachelor's degree but you ain't got no GED, you ain't got no high school diploma? Huh? How you
And
going
they
to high school? You ain't finished elementary, middle.
they
Come
want
on now.
instant
Like it's
gratification.
prerequisites. We got to
Mhm.
start focusing on the foundation. And this is what's going to help melanation rise. Without that, Oh, you're going to see the same thing that's happened for the last 75 to 85, 100, 200, 300, I don't know how many years. You're going to see the
Right.
same exact thing. It's just going to be the remixed version called the digital age.
Well, that's not going to happen on our watch, because us, with the forces, the leaders that we bring on this show, we are definitely making a difference. We are making an impact. And I am quite sure that we will see the fruits of our labor very, very soon. We're going to
Oh,
connect these dots. We're going to make sure that people know what resources, what programs, who is out here to help them connect our community, because that's the only way that we're going to heal that village, bring that village mindset back, just like Sister Sonda said.
absolutely. You know, and I challenge every brother out there, get control of your home. I challenge every man out there, get control of your home. Okay, you don't got to walk up in there, hey woman, where my dinner at? You know, none of that. No, walk in your home and tell your family that you love them. Kiss your babies. Make sure the house is clean. All of that, because each of those pieces is going to help us to rise. Right? Hey, Miss Uganda, you got any closing words?
Well, I'm just again excited to be here. I thank you for the opportunity. I can't wait till next week, because we're gonna have Sister Bakura up here. She has said so much, and she said, "Don't make me move back home." Look, she's been threatening us with a good time for a couple of years now. It's time for you to come on back home, Bakura. So come on.
Hey, come on back. You know, and I would even say maintain what you got going up there, because what we're doing right now, the effective leaders, what we're doing right now, we're creating masterminds all
Yes.
over the world. We're creating them in strategic locations. We have strategic individuals in Dallas. We have strategic individuals in Miami. We have strategic individuals in Frankfurt, in Johannesburg, in Mali, in
Come on.
Beijing, and we've got them out in Seoul, in Korea. We've got them in St. Louis and Salt Lake City. Yes, this is real. This is happening. We are
Yeah.
going to lead Melanation into a much better place than what we've been in. And what it's going to take is those leaders to step up and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take myself through a regression period. I'm going to reframe my perspective on trauma so I can be prepared for what is to come. Because as we walk this path as leaders, we need to understand that there is going to be massive resistance. And the
That's
most of that resistance is going to come from our people.
that's right.
The most of it is going to come from our people. We've got to be prepared. We've got to be fortified for what is to come. And the best way for us to do that is to focus on doing right by self first.
That's right.
This is
That's
Community Roundtable. I'm Ferdinand, the bringer of balance,
and
leader
I'm
of
here.
many disciplines, and one of your hosts. And we got Miss Uganda over here.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you so much, Ferdinand. I'm Uganda Sample Jones. Thank you so much for joining us. The owner of Empower All, a lover of all people in humanity. Be encouraged and encourage somebody else.
Absolutely. Hey, y'all listening? Y'all listening? Expose your gift.